it's just one of those things. Every week we're just going to continue to get better.
How do you think Zane handled in his first start a lot of snaps compared to where he was last year? How did that show up on the tape and going into this week?
I think he did well. You know, that's a big step up. And you know that could be hard for anybody, but I think he handled it very well. You know, coming in as his first start in Beaver Stadium, so you know he did very well.
A lot of times guys talk about, like, during camp you just want to hit somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you hit each other for so long. Does that kind of lead to maybe a slow start in week one when it's somebody else across from you? Do you feel like you need some time to tune up?
I mean, of course, you know, it's always an adjustment. You know, not everything's going to be perfect. I mean, you know, you guys seen all the games this past weekend. It was not perfect football, you know, across the board, but it was good football nonetheless. And I think we played good ball, but there's so much more to accomplish. So, you know, there's always room for improvement.
Coach made a point on Tuesday to Coach Franklin made a point on Tuesday to kind of respond to some of the criticism of having a late score there at the end of the game. I was wondering, from your perspective as a player, though, what do those reps mean to you as a young player? I looked it up, and you got your first sack on the final play of the game at Rutgers years ago, and I imagine that game was quite out of hand at that point. So how do you guys look at those snaps as players?
I think it's vital for development. You know, when you have a team like ours with so many young guys, so many talented young guys, I think it's important for the young guys to get that experience. So that way, years down the road or even later down the season, you know, injuries happen, unforeseen things happen, and you have X amount of guys who have already played in 5, 6 games. Although they may be at the end, they've got game experience. So it's not going to be a new thing if they have to go into that fire due to unforeseen circumstances.
Do you remember that play at Rutgers? And if so, how much traction did you get as a young guy in the locker room for making that play as the clock ticked away?
Oh yeah, no, I remember that. That was my first sack, like my college career. So that was a big one for me. And I got some pretty good traction, you know. Of course, I was still a developing player, and so, you know, I just used that as a stepping stone as the beginning to, you know, my ascension of just like becoming the player that I want to be. So.
D'Von, you mentioned there were some areas that you wanted the team to improve on following West Virginia. Is there anything specifically that you wanted to work on?
Not necessarily specifically, just overall, you know, I just feel like as a unit, there are definitely just some things that we need to improve on the front end, the back end, and I think that'll happen come this week. You know, we got a great opponent coming up, and so I think this will be a good view into how we progress further on into the season.
D'Von, James has called J.B. Nelson nasty about 4 times in the past couple of weeks. So how would you describe him as a defensive lineman? I'd imagine you butted heads with him a lot this year.
Yeah. He just got that dog in him, you know. He spent so much time behind the scenes, and now people are kind of seeing just his playability, you know, and we've seen it for a long time now. And so it's just I'm happy and I'm elated to see that people are finally catching on, because every day in practice, it's a battle between me, him, Olu, Hunter. That whole right side of the line is just a battle every time. And JB is definitely one of those guys who is going to put his 100% dog into every play, every rep. So.
D'Von,
Yes,
West Virginia had a little success running inside on you guys early in the game. And I know that's been a point of emphasis in the offseason, run defense up the middle. What did you guys take away from what you were able to do against the interior run?
Takeaways, we just need to be more efficient, you know. We just need to play a little cleaner. Of course, there are some guys who stepped up, like I said before. So I think it was a good first game. I think it was a good first one. You know, as a defensive line, you know, Coach Deion harps on it all the time. We want to be the best D-line possible, and in order for that to happen, we have to be firing on all cylinders. And I think that's our next progression.
How much physically have you guys improved, do you think, from last year as a line?
Oh, tremendously. I mean, of course, you've heard it from many others. We're bigger, faster, stronger. And then with Coach Deion Barnes, we're getting our technique and such together more than what it was before. So we're just continuing to stack every single day.
The
way he operates, the way he moves, there's a lot of games that we might not have won if he wasn't who he was. So
Which one would you rather tackle?
Two more guys.
which one would I rather tackle? That's a toughie. That's a toughie. K-Tron was really hard. And then Nick is really fast, so it's a toss up. I don't know. That's a tough one. I gotta sleep on that one.
What's it like absorbing it? Okay.
Hey, he lowers his shoulder and he runs his feet, so it's like you ever got hit by a car? Yeah, exactly. You'd rather not. So I see why he gets so many yards after contact, and it's just one of those things.